Clap your hands, everybody. Clap your...
You're listening to Nomad's Place podcast, where career musicians talk about what really happens in the studio, on stage, behind the scenes, and everywhere else imaginable. But most of all, they share their personal insight of what it takes to make it in this crazy business of music. Okay, here we are, Nomad's Place in Durban, South Africa. The coastline is just stunning. And I'm sitting with two amazingly shred-up bodyguards for Toni Braxton and Babyface on this tour. That's who we're working with. But also they work with a ton of other artists. And to my right, I have...
Tyronne Mattner
and
Gareth Katzew.
And some of the other artists that you guys work with are...
I've worked with U2, Dead Mouse, I worked with Trey Songz, we did Chris Brown together. Almost every artist that has come to South Africa, we've basically worked with.
Right. And you guys are South African based?
Correct, yeah. We're both in the same area. We train together, yeah. That's how we actually met in the gym. Same interests. So yeah, we train and eat and...
So you're right. You go through all the same rituals that would try to keep us
pretty much
healthy.
That's our culture, yeah. So yeah.
So the whole concept of what I do is, modern day nomad is traveling the globe, right? And we try to maintain this healthy lifestyle because in the past, traveling has been synonymous with unhealthy. Right? So what are some of the things that you guys like to do to try to maintain some sense of a routine while you're on the road? Because Gareth and I were talking yesterday about his home routine. Now, our home routines are much different from our traveling routines. So any pointers or tips or things that you guys want to talk about that help maintain?
Food preparation. I mean, you'll see Tyrone carries this bag around with him everywhere he goes. Just having healthy food sort of on hand, because the one thing that also is synonymous with hotel living and that sort of thing is fast food, right. Burgers, that
oil,
kind of food,
deep fried, processed food. So we like to pack healthy foods for the day.
How do you pack healthy foods when traveling? Do you just kind of, like for instance, right now we're eating this wonderfully indulgent breakfast buffet. Do you kind of just put things in there?
Yeah, we just plan ahead, obviously, before the tour.
What I thought was interesting, Gareth, was the different opinions and different lifestyles or methods between yourself and, let's say, Tyrone, for instance. You were talking about how difficult it is to eat properly when you travel.
Yeah.
Yet Tyrone carries this big box with all his prepackaged, prepared foods. So.
You know what it is? I think at the end of the day, it's also sort of determined by your body type, because I'm quite a tall guy. I've never had too much trouble staying lean. I pack on a few pounds here and there, but at the end of the day, for me to cut that off, when I finish a job, I can train consistently for maybe 1 or 2 weeks, and I'm back to sort of the same body fat percentage as I would be, and I think that's the difference between Tyrone and I. Because of his body type, he's a bit shorter. He struggles when he puts on weight around the midsection and those areas. It's going to take him quite a while to get rid of it. So he's a lot more conscious of it, and that's why he carries around things like almonds and, whereas I would just eat whatever's in close proximity, whatever's available.
That's funny, because the other day I saw you eating a bag of chips.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, how can a guy like that eat a bag of chips?
Even now, over the last 2 weeks, I think I weighed about between 4 and 5 kilograms more than what I do now. So just since I've started with you guys, just in this period alone, I've lost about 3 to 4 kgs, which is substantial, and I feel it. I feel it in my clothes. I feel, particularly in the arms and around the chest, I feel the muscle mass has shrunk a little bit. And for me, that's the biggest thing, because that's something I notice immediately.
Incredible.
I mean, before they used to say just don't eat. That's a diet, which is absolutely the worst thing you do.
Yeah.
Your body needs nutrients or fuel to basically perform. If you deprive your body without those nutrients, when you do eat fats and that, it actually stores it, so it's actually worse to actually starve yourself. That's why you got to keep your metabolism going. You got to train your body to keep your metabolism going. That's why I try to eat every 2 hours. I say 2 hours because sometimes it's not 2 hours, so it ends up working out every 4 hours. You
2 to 4, yeah.
So you aim for 2 because you'll miss that deadline and you'll end up eating at least every 4 hours. That's why I carry a cooler bag. It's like a material type cooler bag, yeah.
Right.
In the front there's a compartment with 5 containers where I can put my meals. minerals. On the top, all my vitamins, vitamin C, omegas. On the side, I can keep my shakes, my water.
When you do travel, how the heck do you get the ingredients that you need to prepare each thing? Because you're not home with a full fridge stocked of stuff, you know.
Yeah, it is challenging. So I just keep foods, protein, nuts.
So give me an idea of, let's itemize some things. So let's say we know we need high proteins, right? So I know to keep nuts is easy. Almonds, cashews, unsalted, right?
Correct.
Pistachios, all that. That's easy. Same with fruit. Apples, every hotel has a plethora of apples, right? But beyond that, how do you prepare a protein shake, for instance? How do you carry that?
I've got a protein shake here. It's got compartments in it. It actually fits within the shake. So I keep a big bag of protein, of shake.
Protein powder?
Yeah, in my room. And then when I go out, I actually stock up. I put 3. You'll take pictures of it and post it up. Yeah. And inside it, there are 3 compartments where it has the powder. So I quickly put in water, put it in, shake it up, and drink it.
So what you're doing now is you're sacrificing taste for function.
Correct.
Because at home we have the blender, we put the ice, we put the banana, we put all this stuff, and it tastes better.
Yeah.
But now you're just getting the absolute necessary nutrients.
Correct. Well, I eat for fuel, not for fun. That's the thing with our lifestyles. People, it's such a part of our culture to have a big, nice meal with your family and friends, and that's eating for fun. I eat for fuel, so I can survive and I can perform throughout the day.
Right. Let me ask you this: are there ever times? There has to be a time when you eat for fun, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay.
I'm
so how do you find that?
I make that my cheat day when I'm with my family. My Chinese family. I mean, they just eat huge portions of food, and I try to plan around it. That will be my cheat day. So it won't necessarily be because most people work Monday to Friday, you know, and our hours exceeds that.
Erratic,
So I try to have one cheat day during the week, and that'll be normally with my family eating those meals. Otherwise, I'm dieting all the time.
So that cheat day can change week to week depending on your schedule.
Correct.
And this is you monitor this. You are aware of this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's excellent. I also know that there's different ways to think about the cheat days. My trainer, for instance, told me don't necessarily think of it as a cheat day, but perhaps, especially in the beginning, if you're trying to lose weight, just do a cheat meal rather than 12 hours of cheating.
Correct.
Pick one meal in that day, and if it's breakfast, then you say on Sunday I'm going to eat my big pancakes with syrup and bacon and all that, right?
Yeah.
Or if you're a pizza person, then you say Friday night I'm getting the big pizza, and you know. What do you think about that versus the whole day or the one meal? Yeah,
definitely. I mean, people think cheat day and they try to cram up a whole week's of junk food in one, and that's not good. You try to be disciplined and have one cheat meal. You know, the more you diet, the better. You know, yeah, the harder you work, the better your result. You are what you eat. It's like 80% diet, training, and sleep.
An author by the name of Jack Donovan. One of his famous books, or his best book, I think it was his first book, is called The Way of Men. In that book, he discusses the virtues, male virtues, knowing why you train, understanding why you train. You might not be able to relate to this, but on my side, and that's the reason why my diet is a little bit more loose. If I had to break it down for you, I could honestly say that it's probably 10% vanity. Obviously, everybody wants to look good. Everybody wants to, because when you look good, you feel good.
You feel better.
Exactly.
Psychological.
So I'm not naive to tell, enough to say that I don't. That's not a reason or a factor.
Of course.
But for me, it's more about strength. I mean, I enjoy it. It's become a part of my challenging myself on it, and that's why my training is also adapted to that. I don't lift a lot of light weights to sort of tone up muscles or to my lifting is pretty heavy. I get in the gym, I do a few warm-ups, and then I go straight to the big weights, regardless of what muscle I'm doing.
Yeah, I go heavy as possible.
And over and above that, another factor, and it's something that not a lot of people can understand because not everybody does the work that I do, not everybody lives the life that I live, but is the sort of tactical virtue of training. The fact that with strength and size, it enables me to do my job better. Essentially, at the end of the day, I'm better equipped to do what I do. That's something I only actually realized recently when I sat down and I thought about it. You know, it was a podcast that I watched, one of Jack Donovan's podcasts, and it just really got me thinking about training in general and understanding why you train. And I think it's very important because it's that if you understand why you train, it's going to direct the route that you take with your training. Exactly.
Yes, I've heard it put as knowing your why.
Yeah.
When you know your why. Right? It's also interesting that when I first started training back in Los Angeles with the guy who I trained with, he asked me. He said the first thing we did an interview, a formal interview, because I was hiring him.
Yeah.
He said, "So why do you want to start training?" The first words out of my mouth was because I want to live a long life for my daughter. I want to be here until I'm a very old man, so I can be with her as much as possible. And he said that's the best answer. And that's funny, I was going to ask you guys the weights you lift. Because you are bodyguards, in its purest form, you have to have mass.
Yeah.
You have to be big. When the client looks at you, they want to know that they can feel safe, right?
Yeah.
And we equate size with safety.
Correct.
Right? Now,
Correct.
so obviously you lift heavy. When you want to trim down, let's say somebody wants to lose 30 pounds, we do the opposite, right?
Precisely.
We lift higher reps, lighter weights.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the difference between looking big and strong versus stamina. Now, we're working with a client right now where you, Gareth, are literally assigned. Actually, both of you, right? Tyrone, you're on one side. Aren't you? Yeah, you're on one side of the
I'll
audience.
back up Gareth just in case.
Okay.
Yeah.
So both of you are running literally stadiums to accompany the artist as he runs through the audience, right?
5,000 people to be exact.
5,000 people. You need stamina.
No, 100%.
So now, guys like you have the mass. You don't want to do too much cardio because it shrinks the mass. So tell me the happy medium. So how do you put these variables together?
But that's the thing. I mean, it's also the type of exercises you do with regards to the lifting. I'm all about functional fitness. For instance, being a bodyguard, being a guy in a suit. Yes, if you've got the size, the bigger you are, the more intimidating you are. The more you'll be noticed. At the same time, there's sort of other aspects of this industry where, for instance, when you're contracting in a high-risk environment, whether that be the Middle East or somewhere in Africa, those big guys are not equipped because there your size doesn't matter because it's very rare that the threat you're going to encounter is going to be one that you can deter with size. There, it's more about being functional, being able to run and jump and move.
Dive, duck.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So a guy that weighs 135 kilograms is going to have trouble getting himself over a wall if he gets into a firefight.
It's not agile.
Whereas a guy that weighs 110 and is also very big and well built, but at the same time is functional and explosive and athletic, he's going to have less difficulty performing tasks like that. So that's another thing, the balance. And I do a lot of cardio. I do enough. I don't do too much because I don't want to, I don't want to sort of eat into the muscle mass.
Yeah.
Can you describe what that is?
I get on the bike at the gym probably 3-4 times a week.
Me too. 3-4 times a week for at least 40 minutes.
40 minutes.
Yeah. 40
Yeah,
minutes.
your body only starts burning fat after 20 minutes of reaching your target heart rate. So after 20 minutes, you are actually essentially burning fat and getting fit.
Yeah.
I know I've done interval training on the cardio machine.
Yeah.
So where for a minute, you go at your fastest.
And then you
for
walk
2
for-
minutes, then you calm down.
Yeah.
And say,
High intensity
Do you guys
training,
do
yeah.
that
I
as
do,
well?
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's how we do it.
That's exactly
I
how you
normally do
Okay.
a walk for like 2 minutes and then I sprint for a minute. Walk for 2 minutes and
Yeah,
then sprint.
that's high intensity. That's interval training. Yeah,
Yes.
no, we do a lot of it, but also,
Excellent.
for the explosive aspect in terms of deadlifting and snatches and that sort of thing. That builds explosiveness.
Wow.
I also, I've done a lot of martial arts. I've slowed down on that front a lot in the last sort of 2 or 3 years. But I mean, there was a stage where I was looking to compete, and I took it very seriously. It was a real, like a major hobby of mine.
Yeah.
And I just found that it was counterproductive with the weights training because you would spend 5 days or 6 days in the gym lifting weights, but then the 2 days that you would do high intensity cardio, the boxing, the MMA, whatever it may be, it was completely counterproductive to the time that you spent lifting the weights. Because
It robs from the mass
Precisely.
that you're building.
Precisely. I've got a network. We were talking about it yesterday with regards to vehicles. All these questions that have come up. I have a network, so I know exactly with regards to what I need for my end of the work type of thing. So for what my responsibilities entail, I have a network in every city. I can call on people in every city, and not only in South Africa. I mean, I've done extensive work in Africa and a little bit in the Middle East. So I've got people sort of globally that also have their
networks.
Exactly.
Now you're tapping into a much
Precisely. Like with regards to Zim, Paul, the guy that assisted there, he lives in North Africa. So if I need things done there, I speak to him. He's able to get assets, personnel, whatever's required to get the job done there. So that's just a small example of what I mean. You know, you unfortunately, the amount of companies that have the infrastructure or global infrastructure is very limited. Most guys will call on other people to assist in areas that they don't have a big footprint in. And that's how it is here.
It's about compounding your networks.
Precisely.
Now you have, exponential resources.
Yep.
Rather than just what's
Exactly. It also helps when you've got someone with local knowledge, because, for instance, in Zim, I wouldn't have been able to navigate there without encountering a little bit of difficulty.
When you say Zim, you say
Zimbabwe.
Yeah, I love that. That's cool. Yeah.
We would have got lost a few times. Things just wouldn't have been as streamlined as what they were, and they were streamlined purely because Paul was there, and he had a very good local knowledge. So it's about leaning on people and using your resources. Yeah,
makes perfect sense. Sleep. How do you collect sleep on the road? It's difficult.
It is very difficult. Sleeping is very, very important. Your muscles, your body needs to rejuvenate. So I am deprived of sleep when I tour.
Do you sleep on planes, or do you find that difficult?
I do sleep. I doze off. Also,
it's a bunch of little cat naps, right?
It's not the same.
I know. I agree. I agree.
Also, I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I overthink, and I think I forget things because you're not eating correctly all the time, and you're not sleeping. My mind just tends to keep wandering, and on the road, sleeping is very challenging.
Very challenging.
Yeah, it is very challenging.
It was rough. I mean, I think I must have got 2.5 hours sleep, because we came from the stadium right back to the hotel.
So when did you get back after the show? Do you remember approximately?
I think roughly around 1 o'clock.
Yeah. Okay.
Around there.
Okay.
It might have been something after 12, but it was around there, close to 1 o'clock. From there, obviously make sure that the client is settled, and once I'm absolutely sure that there's going to be no more movement on their side, back to my room, packing up my bags. That took a good hour or so.
Sure.
After packing, take a shower, because after all the running and movement I think Tyrone has a foot count on his phone, and I think he walked something like 22,000 steps.
30,000 steps.
So I can assume
30,000 steps.
Yeah.
So I would assume that mine is somewhere in that region. I mean, I think.
Now this is good for your cardio.
This is why what I was talking about earlier about me losing muscle mass since I've started this particular task.
I can feel it in my clothes.
This is why your eating is erratic. You're not getting in the meals. You're not getting in adequate nutrition.
No routine.
You're not training, because I mean these hotel gyms are great, but they're ill-equipped. This gym in particular here, there are no weights. It's a fitness center. It's not a gym. Yeah. So
you can get some good cardio.
Yeah, no, you can exercise. You can definitely exercise, but
you're not going to lift.
No, that for me is difficult, because it's also a form of therapy for me. I like lifting. One thing I've seen, especially over the last 2 years, is no matter how challenging your day is, you can have the worst day. When you step out of that gym, it might be hard to get yourself there because your mind's not right. But if you can just pull your shit together and get yourself to the gym, when you step out, your problems are still going to be there, but you're just going to feel fractionally better, and you're just better equipped to deal with them because you feel like relief.
I wish I can give you a megaphone to the world to say that, because that is the biggest proponent
the therapeutic
of why
aspect.
we do.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a form of meditation for me.
Yes.
I prepare myself mentally when I'm about to train. I've got to get my mind right.
That's right.
Get my mind right. I focus. It's the best form of meditation for me when I go to the gym.
Can I ask you guys a question? Do you struggle with this psychological aspect on a somewhat daily basis? For example, I find myself yesterday when I worked out at the gym there in Durban, or no, the day before yesterday. It was show day. We had plenty of time in the morning. I did a fantastic workout. I felt like $1 million. My mind was sharp. I had a positive outlook on life. Then yesterday, we had to get up really super early and rush off to the airport, so I couldn't get one in. Honestly, guys, I felt like total shit.
Yeah.
I mean, feels like you're going backwards because you're not training,
and then
you're wasting time. Yeah,
I beat myself up all day yesterday.
Are you saying your training suffered because of your sort of?
Well, mentally, it sounds like it.
Well, it's both. My training suffered because of my mindset, and my mindset suffered because of my lack of training.
But that's the right mindset to have.
Yeah.
You hard on yourself, and now you know you have to get yourself to the gym.
Okay.
So
from my side, I mean, like these guys that I train with, they've got a saying that I love. It's so simple, it's such a basic saying, but because you're not going to go into the gym every day and be at the same level, you're not going to have the same motivation. You're going to have days that are really bad that you don't even feel like training. Days that you feel weak, days that you don't eat enough, and you're just not there.
Right.
And these guys always say you go with what you got. So when you get to the gym, if you're there for 20 minutes and you do a fraction of what you would usually do, and you do the weights are much lighter or however it relates to your specific method of training, as long as you're there and you do something and you get it done, you go with what you got, because there's going to be days where you can burn through the weights, you can throw things around that you'll amaze yourself type of thing, and there's going to be other days where you struggle with motivation, with strength, with energy, all those factors.
What you got, I love that.
It's such a simple.
Okay, so this is good news, because it's nice to know that even the most successful fitness people still go through these same psychological aspects and struggles. The reason why I do this is because musicians, we have a very bad stigma, stereotypes, if you will, of being unhealthy. So when we're out on the road, our lifestyle, as we discussed already, is very challenging. Musicians have this horrible tendency to not eat properly at all. So now all their nutrients and energy are disproportionate, right? Also, a lot of times after the gig, now our senses are alive and we're awake and wide open. And what do we want to do? We want to go out and eat, all right? Now that's the worst thing for us to do, right? The whole point of this is I want to help educate, especially the younger generations of musicians who want to come up and go out and tour and do these things. Tell them, hey, listen, pace yourself, right? And there's some things that you can do to help, combat the inevitable future of getting old, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I want to ask you now. Resources, advice, tips, tricks, anything that you have to say on this front?
Yeah, I think you're getting inadequate nutrients throughout the day. Rather that as opposed to
nothing at all.
Exactly, or one huge meal in the morning,
right.
and then all the crap that they feed you backstage, and the finger foods, and it's part of the culture, and it's also it's nice to celebrate with the people that you perform with after a show. So you like having a few drinks, you like enjoying yourselves, but at the same time, I think if you can balance that with at least trying to get in a decent amount of food and the correct food during the day, and that's perhaps where something like what Tyrone has comes into play, like one of these bags.
Yes, this bag is amazing.
Yeah,
I can't wait to post the pictures.
Clap your hands.
It's that point where we have to unplug. I'm the same way. My mind is constantly racing. I have to literally force myself to unplug in all aspects, literally and figuratively, right?
Yeah. That's where the training helps. You train, and then your mind gets to switch off a bit.
Right.
You tend to focus, de-stress, and then you get to rest a bit.
You've been training for about 15, 16 years.
15, 16 years. In school, being Asian in this country during apartheid days, I was the smallest kid in school. I got picked on a lot. I was the first non-white person in schools. So this is where I started training, because I always noticed guys that trained and looked a bit bulky always got respect. And
we were talking size is intimidating.
Correct, yeah. So this is what got me into training. As soon as I left high school, I hit the gym, and I just haven't stopped since then. And it just made me more confident, made me stronger, and I'll never stop. I'll never, ever stop training. Never.
Amen to that. That is so true.
Yeah, so I honestly believe I'm never sick. I'm sick maybe once a year with the flu.
Right.
And I think that's got to do with the training and the dieting,
My training partner told me that when we started a while back. He says it's rare that he gets sick. When you're feeding the right things into your body. And,
I'm never sick. It's only the flu. I don't get anything.
Right. How do you deal with injury, especially while traveling, right?
It goes back to your diet. You need to keep your joints lubricated.
Okay.
So you need to take NCT oils, which is very, very essential. NCT oils you can find in coconut oil, avocado. So you keep those joints in that all lubricated. It's also in some nuts. You can find those oils as well. So those are essential fats that you need to give you energy to perform.
Okay.
But over the years of training, I know I've got a bit of tennis elbow. My joints are a bit sore. I like to rest it, ice it.
Yeah.
Keep the ice on it.
Okay.
To take away the inflammation.
Okay. Maybe not so much heat, but ice.
Yeah. Use ice. Yeah, I use ice for that.
Hey, Nomad here. I hope you're finding this podcast useful. I am very grateful to both Tyrone and Gareth for sharing their extremely helpful insight, knowledge, and firsthand experience about living a healthy lifestyle while on the road. I know for myself, one of the biggest challenges is consistency. And as both of these guys have mentioned, that pretty much is the key element. Stay tuned as we wrap up and hear some inspiring words of wisdom from both Tyronne Mattner and Gareth Katzew.
Started speaking. We're both into close protection and security.
Right.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Gareth was telling me the difference. Close protection is you're the bodyguard for the principal.
Correct.
And security is more of an event thing.
The whole event thing,
They work, they go together, right?
Correct. They work
Very
hand in
It's
hand.
like a package deal type of thing.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the artists need to be protected, but at the same time, the venue, and, obviously there's security personnel required at the venue. So,
Crowd control and then to make
Exactly.
sure you guys are safe. It all works hand in hand.
Yeah.
so when you do something like this, you have to have all aspects covered.
What was some of the most amazing jobs you've done?
Yeah, you could understand this because you're a rock star,
Yeah.
and I see how you get the crowd amped and pumped,
Okay, yeah.
and well done to you,
Oh,
and
thank you.
and that energy from the crowd is priceless.
It's key. Isn't it amazing?
It is absolutely priceless. I did U2 in F&B Stadium, 107,000 people screaming. You just feel that energy of the crowd, and this is why I do this work. My whole life, through hard times. Music is key for me. I love music. Music has got me through hard times in my life. Because most artists, they come from humble times, and then
right.
their lyrics, you kind of relate to their lyrics, and their lyrics get you through those hard times. For me, that is.
right.
And I love music, and I got into the security side. I thought, let me just go into event security, and
Yeah.
I just love the whole aspect of it. I like how they start building up the stage. It looks like nothing. It looks like a bunch of junk lying on the side, and then next minute they build this huge, crazy stage like U2. That stage is absolutely crazy with that screen in the front there, and then you've got 107,000 people all focusing at you, and you can just feel that energy of that crowd. And everyone singing. It's just, I absolutely love it.
It's intangible, right? It's like there's hardly words to describe it.
Yeah, even with Toni Braxton at the end, how everyone sings "Unbreak My Heart."
Right?
It actually gives you shivers.
It gives us chills, yeah.
But I just love that energy of the crowd. You can't pay for that.
Well, you said it. I'm so glad you brought that up because that's the purpose of music, right? And music is universal through all walks of life.
Then even going back to training, the reason why we're doing this podcast, sometimes when I'm doing my final set, and this is my my final, I get a good song, and I don't know about Gareth, but as soon as that song breaks, I push away, and then all of a sudden I'm 30-40% stronger. So it goes back to getting your mind right,
That's
so
right.
it's all these.
Your natural high.
Yeah.
Favorite bands? This is a good note to end on, actually.
Man.
Favorite artists?
So I'm pretty eclectic.
Me too.
I want to hear it all.
I love all music. I mean, I've watched in terms of live concerts. It's always like rap, R&B, and rock concerts, music performance.
Live music.
Yeah,
That's
rock.
a great answer, man. I love that.
Yeah, it's completely different, but
And you're eclectic as well.
I'll be dead honest with you. Generally, I'm not really into a lot of the mainstream stuff. I mean, I hear a song here and there that I really like, and that's the beauty of iTunes is you don't have to buy the full album.
That's right.
You can buy the song.
That's right.
like back in the day, I used to buy the whole. There's one or two good songs, and the whole album was
CD or
trash.
tape.
Yeah.
So are you guys strictly MP3 guys, or do you still use CDs?
No, everything
just
is,
MP3s.
everything is
iTunes, man.
Okay, so I'm gonna send you guys my album. on
Yeah,
iTunes.
please.
Yeah.
You know what
Be
I
honest,
really
yeah.
like for instance Kenny. I mean, I never, and sometimes when you work with someone, it gives you a whole new appreciation of their music.
Definitely.
Because it was the same with Chris Brown. I mean, generally, if you had to play me Chris Brown before I did that show, I would have laughed and been like, not really my cup of tea. Like,
Right.
But then you actually appreciate them. Actually, I downloaded some of his songs after.
So did I.
Also with
A few.
you guys, like
Just a
I knew
few.
your music, but I didn't
Maybe.
realize it was actually Babyface. Some of the songs, and
right.
then I
Yeah,
was
well,
like,
he wrote
but
those
wait a
songs.
minute,
Yeah.
I know these songs.
Yeah, because Boys to Men were singing them. Or Toni Braxton was Or
Correct.
Whitney Houston was singing it.
Correct, yeah. I didn't
But he wrote and
realize.
produced that stuff.
Yeah,
For training purposes, I generally...
Yeah,
I mean,
good question. Training.
I've got-
what do you listen to?
sort of a lot of I like a lot of hip hop, but it's
Okay.
generally stuff that not many people would have heard of. It's very dark. On the complete other side of the spectrum, there's also a lot of metal that I like.
Yeah. Me too. I love metal.
Yeah,
it really gets me
I
going.
mean, that was one of the best shows I've done. Was a German band called Rammstein.
Rammstein.
Yeah, jeez, those guys. And
Crazy,
also to
yeah.
train to that music, and it gets you amped
Gets you
and
going.
yeah.
I
But
like some of the recent stuff like Parkway Drive, very good band. Lamb
like-
of God, I really like.
I did Linkin Park. Linkin Park is
Linkin Park,
very
yeah.
good as well.
Love those guys.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Periphery or Animals
Yeah.
as Leaders?
Yeah.
I like those guys. I train with that stuff too sometimes.
Yeah. Foo Fighters,
Foo Fighters.
Nirvana.
Foo Fighters.
I grew up listening to punk. That was what I liked when I was younger. That was
AC/DC.
my sort of.
Yeah.
So from there,
Okay.
my brother listened to hip hop and he was more into that scene, and that's how I sort of grew to appreciate both genres.
Yeah.
There you
And
go.
now at this age, I just like good music. I'm
Just
not
good-
specific. I'm not.
There you go.
You can't really put me into a bracket. I'm
like everything.
definitely not a metalhead, and I'm not a gangster. I just like good music. I mean, if I
Depends on
hear
my
it, then
mood.
I like it.
Depends on my
That's
mood.
right.
What I want to hear.
To follow me, Nomad, on a musical journey all over the globe, be sure to sign up for my newsletter at nomadsplace.com for free giveaways, guitar lessons, concerts, and more. Also, don't forget to subscribe, like, and follow Nomad's Place on all of your favorite social media sites.
So I always like to ask words of wisdom. If you had to put it all in one little phrase or one little paragraph, or
I say consistency is key.
consistency.
Consistency and hard work
There you go.
with everything, not just training, with your career. Consistency and work, and you'll be successful.
Like what you heard? Please write a review on iTunes for a higher profile rating so we can keep the shows coming at you right here from Nomad's Place. Once again, this is Nomad. Don't sweat it, fret it. I'm just a nomad, nowhere man. Writing the songs in this one-man band. A nomad. Hush now, darling, you'll be fine. I'll be back this way sometime. Until then, baby, don't you cry, 'cause I'll be calling. Drummers! So you're watching an amazing drummer on YouTube, and they're playing something so crazy you just can't figure it out. If only you can tap this drummer on the shoulder and say, hey, can you slow it down and break it down for me, man? PossibleChops.com does exactly that. They've asked some of the top-of-the-line drummers to play in short, digestible phrases some of their craziest chops. Then they slow it down and transcribe it so you can actually learn what the heck they're doing. They're making chops possible. Now, PossibleChops.com is an online drum lesson website that makes it easy to add to your drumming vocabulary from some of the baddest professional drummers. And when I say baddest, I mean the dopest, illest, most ridiculousest drummers you ever heard. Imagine getting a breakdown from drummers who played with the likes of Usher, Earth, Wind & Fire, Chick Corea, Babyface, Sheryl Crow, Toni Braxton, and the list goes on. The PossibleChops.com community is designed to allow drummers to share ideas and help you on your path to becoming a pro and getting gigs. That's right, folks, actually getting real gigs. If you're serious about drumming, do yourself a favor and visit PossibleChops.com. Join today, and basic membership is free. However, If you decide to upgrade to a pro membership, use the promo code NOMAD to get your first free month. That's right, folks. Use coupon code NOMAD and you get the whole first month absolutely free. Adding new chops are now made possible for drummers on PossibleChops.com.